and welcome, friends, to another episode of the Lord of the Wrongs podcast, the only Tolkien podcast the professor himself as juvenile and crass. I am Dan Zerby, aka Tom Bombadingus, here with my co-host Sean Kelly, but he's known around here as Strider, going about at a great pace on his long shanks.
I do have long shanks, yeah.
You do, you really do. And together, we'll be discussing the writings, adaptation, news, and anything else involving the works of J.R.R. Tolkien in a manner we are quite confident that he would not quite approve of. What's going on, man?
Not much right now, but you've got me thinking about things that J.R.R. Tolkien doesn't approve of,
Yeah.
which leads me to a bit of a correction from last episode here.
Oh, yeah, we got a couple things incorrect.
We made some bold claims about what J.R.R. Tolkien approved of or didn't.
Yeah.
Mostly Olive Garden related.
Yeah.
Also, about his name, but we'll touch on that in a sec.
Yeah.
But we did back that up with some research. Turns out Tolkien died about 10 years before Olive Garden was even founded.
As it turns out.
Yeah, so it turns out that was unfounded.
Yeah, it would have been very hard for him to not like something that wouldn't exist for a decade after he passed on.
I'd love to speculate all day on whether or not he would have liked Olive Garden, but we just can't say for sure.
You really can't. I think it's probably a safe bet that he would never experience an Olive Garden because I'm pretty sure they're only in the United States. And he never visited the United States in his whole life, which is a real actual fact.
That is an actual fun fact. But it only took a cursory Google to figure that out.
It only took a small amount of research to find out what we said was
surprisingly, I know, not true.
Yeah. Wow.
But an even more cursory Google revealed that his name is, in fact, not John Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, that was a pretty egregious mistake. I really should have.
So we both had something to retract.
Yeah.
But we'll keep coming at you with the Tolkien facts.
Yeah, they'll definitely all be real from now on.
Yeah,
100%.
We've behind the scenes, we've agreed to only bring you the truest and most interesting facts we can.
Yes, it's gonna be they're gonna be all real, just like these last ones were real, except they were real until they weren't.
Yeah.
Apparently Reddit's got lots of information that's not all that helpful.
Well, we went to the more reliable source, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But so first, I got a question for you, Zerby.
All right, go ahead, shoot, John.
I know that we said the "What's your favorite?" questions are kind of a cop out, but I felt like this one was somewhat appropriate. What's your favorite Valar? Or your favorite Valar?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, on the one hand, Elcor's pretty cool. I mean, he's a bad guy, but he's the most powerful of all of them. And he's got some. He's a fascinating guy, even if I dislike what he does. He's a bad guy.
I'm glad you don't agree with him.
Yes, I don't. I'm taking a very hard, bold stance right now. I'm very brave. I'm against the deeds of Melkor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
Listen, I know that might cause some controversy, but I'm a principled man and I'm going to stick by that, damn it. But my favorite Valar, actually, I would have to say it's probably going to be either Ulmo, Valar of the waters, including the oceans, rivers, streams, lakes. Everything in Middle-earth is Ulmo's territory.
Running water, standing water.
All of the water.
Drinking water? Question mark?
I think so. I mean, water that's is good to drink. He would definitely be, the lord of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I guess they had wells, well water probably included. Just water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just water.
I think
Also,
there are like sub deities though for
yeah,
rivers and
there are. Yeah, like Goldberry, for example,
yeah, she's
River
sort of a
Daughter.
yeah
She's
river
like more
nymph
of a
type
spirit of
deal.
the river. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
But
who
you,
was the other?
the other, oh, I
You
was gonna
said
say Tulkas is pretty awesome.
okay. Yeah, I mean
I
he's
love
just
Orome though. Okay, yeah, no,
he's pretty ridiculous,
yeah,
Tulkas.
he really is just
And
big
I
guy
know
who
you
likes to
love
wrestle.
wrestling. Yeah, so
Yeah, I do enjoy
it,
wrestling. That's true. Yeah,
it's a
so like, yeah, maybe
natural
it's
fit.
Tulkas. Hey,
If you could
Tulkas. I don't know if he ever DDT'd Melkor, but
who would you who would you say is the most Tulkas like wrestler uh
ooh,
of I mean maybe all time, but I guess when the era that you know best. I barely know anything about wrestling. I might
well,
recognize
in
names
terms
though.
of pro wrestling, there's a lot. There's a lot of eras that I know quite a bit about because I'm not only a Tolkien nerd, I'm also kind of a pro wrestling nerd, which is a really weird combination of things. But I would say, I mean, Hulk Hogan actually would be a pretty good stand-in for Toolcast because he's overall pretty well. You know what he says in his private life is not so jolly and happy, but Toolcast likes to laugh and stuff as well as wrestle. So he's kind of an upbeat badass, and
Yeah.
the
Okay.
on-screen version of Hulk Hogan, I would say, actually works really well with Toolcast.
I would love to see Hulk Hogan in the first age in Valinor
Oh wait,
as
no, you know
Tulkas.
what? I'm actually gonna change my mind. I'm gonna say Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna throw out the I'm not gonna even attempt, but I can see it. I can see it clear as day, and I can hear it too.
Yeah, he's got to tell Tulkas to snap to snap into a Slim Jim.
Just a judgment coming from the gods,
Yeah, he's
uh,
gonna drop an elbow,
in that
top
in
rope.
that voice, and yes, coming accented with an elbow from the top rope would be pretty.
Who? How about you, Sean? Who's your favorite Vala?
Unfortunately, you said Omo already.
Almost a badass.
Yeah, he just I like the way he interacts with the peoples of Middle Earth.
Yeah, he does more than anybody else. It seems really like he's the most helpful. Everyone else is kind of aloof.
Yeah, he seems like I think this happens a lot in Greek mythology where the gods are kind of on a stint of like, oh, we're not talking to humans right now. You know, they pissed
Yeah,
us
yeah,
off
yeah,
enough and there's always, one or two gods who are sort of feeding us scraps under the table,
yeah, for
like they're
sure.
just kind of like low key helping humanity, even though there's sort of an explicit sort of ban against it. So
Yeah,
Olmo, I mean, the Valar sort of backed off of Middle Earth because they figured that they shouldn't take a direct hand in
right.
helping. But Olmo just kind of pops up a couple times and actually directly speaks to
Yeah,
elves
and men. Tuor
and men. Yeah,
speaks to Tuor. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just it's kind of nice to have a little G god in our corner.
Yeah, he definitely seems to, at least in the first age, seems to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of wanting to help uh yeah, the peoples
I
of
so
Arda.
I like him sort of as a character, but I also like Mandos, his sort of
Yeah.
Tolkien's take on the god of the dead, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I thought was
for the uninitiated, Mandos is kind of the one in charge of, so when elves die, they go to the halls of Mandos. So if they're killed in battle or die of a broken heart, as a lot of them seem to, they go to the halls of Mandos, where they're judged, basically. Elves generally will be rehoused. They'll get a new body after they're killed. And almost all of the time, they will, after getting a new body, they will stay in Valinor. they often don't go back to Middle Earth, with a few notable exceptions, Glorfindel being one of them.
Yeah, very notable, very
Yeah.
awesome.
So Manway's the one, or excuse me, Mandos is the one who decides how long are you going to hang out here before you get a new body.
He's sort of the scales of judgment feather type
Yes.
character.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that Anubis?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and each Egyptian
Yeah, in Egyptian mythology, yes.
mythology. Yeah, but so I guess that intro sort of segues us into a segment that you've come up with, Survey. Would you like to
Yes,
intro that?
indeed. So, and all this talk about the Valar, and some of you might not have any idea what we're talking about, which leads us into a brand new segment, which I like to call the Summarillion, where basically Sean and I will read stories from the Silmarillion so that you don't have to, and we'll explain it to you.
It's intimidating for us, but hopefully
It is.
we
Yeah.
can fall on this cross for you
Yeah.
guys. But at the end of the day, everybody should, if you're interested in it, you should read these
Yeah.
stories because they are,
Just
you know,
take your
our
time with it because it will.
yeah,
It's a little bit like homework.
yeah. But I mean, but the first couple of chapters are tough, but as it goes on, it also gets easier to
Agreed.
read, and it becomes more, I think pretty much throughout the Silmarillion it becomes less and less big picture and
Yeah.
more just stories.
Yeah, even the way it's written, it's it starts off very extremely stilted, and as it goes on, it's
Just
a
zoomed
little
out
more.
too.
Yeah, just it gets a little easier to read. It's a little less grand. So let's jump in, right? So the beginning is a pretty decent place to start, I think. And the first chapter of the Silmarillion is the Ainulindale, or the music of the Ainur. Now,
Such a cool word.
it really Ainulindale. It's so fun to say.
Yeah.
So some of you might be who again the uninitiated. I'm going to do a little vocabulary, some basic terms and names here. So the Ainur. What the hell are the Ainur? Well, the Ainur it translates to the holy ones. And they are spirits that were thought into being by Eru, and Eru means the one. Also known as a Luvatar, I believe is the elves' name for Eru. And
Or Arrow Iluvatar, yeah.
yeah, or Eru Luvatar. Either way, that's the one, the big G god, the one in charge of everything. The one who's pulling all the strings, the one who's in charge of everything, right? So underneath
Mhm.
so yeah, Eru thinks the Ainur into existence. Now the Ainur makes up two different but very similar other spirits. We have the Valar, as we just talked about. They're the little G gods of Arda, and then there are the Maiar, which are lesser holy beings. Some examples of Maiar would be Sauron, Gandalf, Saruman, um, Balrogs.
Balrogs, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So just to maybe bring this to an easier place of understanding, if we compare it to the Christian mythology, Eru is God, the Valar are archangels, and the Maiar are like lesser angels. To make it simple, that's basically
Or you could say Eru is like God, the Valar are the polytheistic gods, so like Roman, Greek, Egyptian style gods,
yeah,
and then you've got angels, or
sure.
I mean not demigods really, but yeah, the lower tier of
Yeah, they're
holy
spiritual
people.
beings that
Yeah,
do the will of the Valar and of Eru. So yeah, so let's jump into the story. That's enough background, I think, for most people to be able to follow along here. So
yeah.
this is the creation myth for Arda, for all of Tolkien's legendarium creation. So Eru basically thinks the Ainur into being and wants them to create a great music, a collaboration between all the Ainur, that's the Valar and the Maiar included. They have their own thoughts and ideas, but it's going to be made into one great symphony in harmony with each other. And as I mentioned before, the greatest of all the Ainur and the Valar is Melkor, who's later named Morgoth, who makes a very loud, brash, and discordant music. Imagine that you are in London and you're going to see the Philharmonic. You're going to hear them perform Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy. And about a few seconds in, Pomeraya from Slayer comes out with a Marshall stack and just starts shredding heavy metal right on top of it. That's kind of what we're dealing with here.
I am seeing now why you mentioned liking Morgoth.
Yeah.
You've
Well, he
got
is the
such
most
a
metal of all of them. You know?
that is true. He's like
Yeah.
80s metal
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
thrash metal for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's Dave Mustaine, except probably not quite as mean.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that's me to Dave Mustaine, but
Yeah, I mean that's
he's not
harsh.
known to be a really sweet fella. Anyway, we're we're alienating enough people without talking heavy metal too much. So let's just continue with the story. So Melkor is making all this racket that's not really going along with the rest of the music the rest of the Ainur are making. So Eru stops the music and it's like, all right, let's do another take, guys. Let's try this again. And exact same thing. Melkor ruins it again. And Eru goes, all right, let's try this one more time. And believe it or not, Melkor ruins it again. He's doing his own thing, and it's being a huge pain in Eru's butt. So basically, he just chastises Melkor and kind of leaves the music as it is. As Eru says that pretty much do what you want at the end of all things. My will is what's going to be come to fruition.
Yeah, when I picture that, I just see it as like a conductor standing in front of, a choir or something, and him just, he starts conducting, Melkor is throwing up this weird discordant music, and he just kind of just looks over at him and stares him down, just stops conduct. Like, I don't know, it's just very clear picture of me,
Yeah, you
and
just
taps
say,
the music stand, starts again, stares at him harder.
"Don't you do it, you son of a bitch! Don't you do it!"
And then the third time he's just like, yeah, you know what? Here, you got what you wanted. You've ruined the
Fine.
world, and now you have to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Like, but nothing you're ever gonna do is really gonna ruin my symphony. It's still gonna go my way, you know.
Yeah.
So Eru shows the Ainur how their music created Arda, created the world, and not just the world, but also pretty much the history of what will happen in Arda. And this results in the children of Iluvatar arriving in Arda, firstborn, which are the elves, and then followed by the followers, men. Now, Melkor is doing his best to dominate Arda, and there's not a lot of exposition on this war that the other Valar have with Melkor, but they basically do battle, and the other Valar are successful, and Arda is made hospitable for the children.
Especially Tulkas. Tulkas is especially successful.
He is. He
Put him in a rear naked chokehold and just
yeah. So yeah, so that's the basic first story of the Silmarillion. That's the Ainulindale. The second chapter actually pretty much starts with a recap of the Ainulindale, kind of more from the elves' point of view, basically. Yeah, so
yeah.
that's the first story. Nice and
I
short. The other ones will
always
not be that easy.
no. I always loved the awakening of the elves, of the first children.
Yeah, the firstborn. Even though at the
And
beginning
it's
the elves
interesting.
are pretty crappy to the men.
Yeah, I mean they hunt them like animals, but
Yeah. Well, they hunt the dwarves like animals. Do they hunt men as
oh
well?
no, no, they don't hunt men.
They're just mean to men.
I
They
thought
call them like the.
they're just mean to them, and they kind of avoid them initially, right?
Yeah. They just the elves at the beginning are pretty racist against men and especially against dwarves who come after men.
I think
Um,
they're just. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. It's just hard to. Yeah, elves are very superior. They act very superior, but they also are. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah, in many
it's
ways,
kind of hard to draw a parallel really to
sure. I mean,
like human. We're all humans. We're all the same at the end of the day. But elves are just kind of better.
yeah. I mean, they're immortal, or serially longeval, because they can be killed. But even if they're killed, they can get bodies and come back to Earth, because the elves' fate is tied to the fate of Arda, whereas men's fate is tied not to the music of the Ainur. Men are able to make choices outside of the music, whereas elves really kind of can't. They're bound to the fate of Arda. They have to. They can only do. They have only so much free will. Elves.
Well, because they just end up, they're all doomed to fade,
Yeah,
basically.
they're doomed to fade. I mean, and they will be on Arda as long as Arda exists. And when the world eventually ends, uh, the elves will be no more at all forever. Kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I mentioned this in another, yeah, another episode, how melancholic the world of Lord of the Rings
Mhm.
is, and just as Middle Earth in general, just because
Yeah.
it's the whole world is in decline, which
Yes.
it's also kind of sad if you realize that's how it seems like it's kind of how Tolkien saw our world being.
Yeah.
We're pursuing this technology and advancing and all that for
Mm.
often for advancement's own sake, and
Right.
I guess they sort of viewed that as a
Yeah. A negative.
just a slow decline. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Indeed.
right. Well,
That was
on
far more
that note,
serious than I meant for it to be. It's like,
yeah, I figure I'll just do a quick 180 here, and I'd like to bring us to the next segment, the Mad Men of the West.
all
We're back.
right. Bad Men of the
We're here
West.
to, yeah, we're here to capitalize on, I mean, this work that
Yeah.
we just discussed in such serious, on such a serious note.
Yeah.
So I've got a sponsor lined up, Zerby, and
Oh,
I think
really?
it
Who's
is
our
the
newest sponsor?
ideal. No, we don't have a sponsor,
Oh,
but
that's too bad.
a theoretical sponsor. Oh no. Yeah, forget that. I've got a pitch that I think this company is really gonna like. I want to create a marriage between the new Lord of the Rings cinematic universe and Ring Doorbell. Is it not perfect?
It really is, and in fact, if you have to believe that if Sauron had a ring doorbell, he would have seen Sam and Frodo coming up the pass of Cirith
That's
Ungol.
what I'm saying. And think about it, there were 9 rings for men, 3 rings for elves, 7 rings for dwarven kings,
Mhm.
and their halls of stone,
And
all
Halls of
that.
Stone, yes.
Yeah, I submit to you that rings, let's say, will make for the most secure strongholds in all of Middle Earth.
Yeah. I mean, if the dwarves of Erebor had had a ring doorbell, maybe they would have seen Smaug coming and had time to prepare.
And they could have, well, submitted it to the local constabulary, I guess, with the video evidence. I don't
Yeah.
really know who you go to for dragon problems. I
Uh,
think you just gotta kind of handle it yourself. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always, heroes, but as Gandalf says in The Hobbit, they're off fighting battles in far off lands, so there's not that many people around. Also, to be fair, ring doorbells would have worked great for Smaug too. If he had one on
yeah, that's true.
that secret door on the side of the mountain, yeah, he would have had more
Although
warning.
he didn't know. Well, he didn't know where it was, but maybe if the
He did.
dwarves already had one installed, he could have found the footage.
Yeah, I mean, he just would have had to open a smartphone and
Okay, you
open
know
the
what?
app.
Maybe the best example for the sponsorship wouldn't be providing a secure doorbell for somebody who has stolen your home. So I think we pivot to say Lorien,
Oh yeah,
or Rivendell. these are places which have been preserved in time through the power of their rings, ring doorbells.
True. I think this is going to be a very lucrative partnership.
I mean, it's just, rings of power. It's just,
Yeah,
it's ideal.
Elrond's ring is a ring of protection, right? Isn't that one of the virtues of
I think all the elven rings kind of have that quality to
Yeah,
a
I guess
certain degree.
yeah, they all
He
kind of.
has the ring of uh, air, or is it water?
I think it's water, which explains why they were able
I
to use
think
the Brunnen to like wash away the
I think
Nazgul.
his might be air, and Galadriel's might be water.
I thought it was the other way around.
Ooh, that might be something we actually have to
You have
research.
to actually look it up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to actually do a cursory Google on that one. But either way, I don't think Ring Doorbell is gonna give much of a hoot.
Yeah.
Who's got Nenya, Volya,
It's there's
Arya.
there's Nenya, which is Galadriel's wing. Oh, and you're right, it is the ring of water. The white ring or ring of adamant, that's Nenya, that's Galadriel's ring. Then there's
Okay.
Narya, which is the ring of fire, and that's the one that Círdan gives to Gandalf when he arrives in Middle Earth. And Vilya is the ring that Elrond is the ring that Elrond holds.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember thinking that
And that is the ring of air.
Galadriel
You were right.
uses hers for the water in her mirror, and then
Yes.
I was thinking Elrond sort of uses his to just kind of push wind down the river. I know it
Yeah.
doesn't make that much
Well,
sense,
he
but
and
that's just how I
Gandalf do
remember it.
that too. It's a combined effort.
Yeah, I don't know. Gandalf boils the rivers. I think Gandalf just kind of has magic, and so does Elrond.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all very unclear, but you know what is clear? How secure your home is going to be when you attach a ring doorbell.
Man, if this podcast has any kind of following, we better get paid. Like we're doing such good work for Ring doorbells right now.
That's what I'm saying. If we cast a wide net for all these sponsorships for a remake, we could come back in like 30 years with a copyright claim.
Yeah, and if anybody has to steal our ideas, we have this recorded. Today is April 24th, 2023 is when we're recording this. So anybody in the future who's trying to steal this idea, our lawyers will be in contact with you.
This isn't really for anybody else. It's mostly for me and Zerby to talk, but also for posterity.
Yes, that's
the
true.
Entire purpose of this podcast.
Yeah,
we're basically just brainstorming.
Yeah, there's always there were lots of lofty ideas for this podcast, but at the end of the day, it's kind of just Sean and I being able to talk about our favorite thing to talk about.
And build a nest egg for litigation.
Yes, of course.
Later.
Yeah, the inevitable litigation that will happen later.
All right. So I've got. I'm gonna come out and say it. I got a couple bits lined up here.
Yeah, let's do them.
And so I figured I'd go on to the next one. And all right. Just to preface this, in coming up with the examples for this bit, we're doing an adaptation station. Choo choo.
Choo choo. I refuse to put a drop in there. I'm just gonna let you do the sound every time.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's too funny.
Yeah, in coming up with these, I'm realizing how they sound ridiculous on paper, but the more I think about them or more I talk about them, the more I kind of want them to exist. So I present to you Dol Amroth Vice.
Oh yeah.
So all right. So for people who don't know, who haven't read the books,
probably only seen the movies, you likely don't know where Dol Amroth is.
Dol Amroth is in the south of Gondor. If you're looking at a map, it's on the coast. There's kind of the mouth of the Anduin is the big series of Fords? Like what is that called? The delta.
Delta,
It's the
yes.
big giant delta on the coast towards the bottom. It's just a little bit up northwest of there.
Yeah, it's on the coast of Belfalos, if you have a map of Middle Earth that you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm going off memory. I'm not looking at one. You have one on your wall, right?
I would if I was willing to pay to
Okay,
have it
just the one.
framed.
Anyway,
eventually I'll
so
do that.
Dol Amroth is
It is the background on my computer, though. I just realized. Yeah,
it's a princedom, I guess.
it is, and a princedom. By the way, we hear the word prince a lot, and it's always in the context of, oh, it's the son of the king, and historically, that's not actually really the case. Most princes are just lords of a certain land that are subject to the king.
Sort of like how a duke has a duchy,
Yes.
or
Yeah, like a duke or a lord or that sort of thing. It's they are.
yeah, I can't think of any other. So it's been a while since I've participated in a feudal arrangement of lordship.
Right,
But
yeah. But either way, a princedom is a land that's run by a lord who there is usually a king above him,
it's pretty important. They're
Yes.
basically the second most powerful behind Gondor itself, Minas Tirith,
Yes.
and they're the powerful subject of Gondor. And we don't really get to see much of Dol Amroth.
I
So
don't believe we see any
I
of
think
Dol
that
Amroth, do we?
yeah. Well, I mean, we see the people,
Yes. Yeah, we see some of the people of Dol Amroth, like Prince
but
Imrahil.
we don't. Yeah, we don't get to see, any of the actual lands really. So
Correct, we do
I
not.
think that creates a perfect opportunity
Yeah.
to.
It's basically the Miami of Gondor, so.
That's what I'm saying. They're down there in the south. They're right next to the I don't know, Umbarites, the Corsairs of Umbar.
They're further to the
What are they?
south, but they got pirates to deal with.
I mean, yeah, but the Umbarians.
I think they're generally referred as the men of
Umbarans.
Umbar.
He was, he was just not brave enough to come up with an adjective to describe.
Yeah, they don't have a proper name as far as I know. I believe it's just the men of Umbar.
Anyway,
yeah. The
yeah,
Corsairs of Umbar. Yeah,
of course,
the Corsairs are
they're
the pirates. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's a bunch of pirates down there, and they harried the coast of Dol Amroth for years. And I'm thinking that a crime just keeps cropping up around the ports in Dol Amroth because of the influence of these ne'er-do-wells.
yeah, these smugglers and pirates.
And
Sounds like a job for Don Johnson, right?
I mean,
A salmon pink T-shirt and a loosely
yeah,
fitting sport coat.
with chainmail.
Yeah, and chainmail, obviously. Yeah, a white sport coat,
Yeah,
a pink T-shirt underneath it, and some chainmail.
Yeah, just a middle layer of chainmail.
Don't forget the Ray-Bans.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I feel like it would just need to be the medieval version of whenever that 80s, cool cut getup is.
Yeah.
There's an equivalent there.
Yeah.
There's a translation, a transliteration, sort of like I don't know what aviators would look like
in Middle Earth
on a medieval suit of armor, but he's got them.
He's got them.
And yeah, they're just running around solving drug. Okay, well, I guess yeah, is it like
Well, Vice is specifically, I
and,
think, does work. Yeah, I think drugs is their main.
it's like drugs and
drugs and
isn't it
prostitution.
yeah, prostitution.
Vice,
yeah, which coming to think about it now, it was really not very prevalent in Tolkien's stories.
Yeah, not as far as we know. I mean, I think it's.
But maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
it's because it was stamped out.
Yeah, maybe it was
and held in check by the. I'm struggling to think of I would need to sort of look up and translate an Adunaic or Numenorian, like a Sindarin version of just some action star.
Yeah.
There's got to be a perfect name for this, and there's no way I can come up with it on the spot.
Yeah. Say, I'm trying to think of any, like, I mean, Miami Vice, just Crockett and Tubbs, and I'm trying to figure out anything between those, and I'm not, nothing's really coming to mind.
Those are very Breland names
They
already.
really are, actually. Yeah. I mean, Tubbs could be a Hobbit name for.
Tubbs is absolutely a hobbit or a portly innkeeper or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the names in Bree are very I don't know what you would call it. They're kind of like country bumpkin, but they're pretty modern.
Yeah, I mean,
by
they're
our
usually most
standards.
Bree surnames are named after plants and stuff. You know, like Bill Ferny, for example, or
Yeah. But all the Numenorian names, so Gondor, in the north, Arnor, so basically just Aragorn and his crew they're Sindarin, right?
yes, I
Is it
believe
Sindarin
Sindarin was
not
was the
Quenya.
language. Yeah, Sindarin, not Quenya. I'm almost certain.
Okay, and so it would be much fancier than your Tubbs or your.
It would. It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tubbs is not a traditional Numenorian name.
Believe it or not.
There was no Tar Tubbs.
But I think it provides a blank canvas that it's like in Star Wars. There's a whole galaxy that we haven't explored.
Right.
There aren't quite as many spots to fill in Lord of the Rings, but I think Dol Amroth is rich and ripe to plunder. Okay, plunder seems like
Well, I mean, if we're doing it all for the cash,
it's
then
what
that's
we're doing.
exactly what it
That
is.
is at the end of the day, we are plundering.
Yeah, we're not creating anything new ourselves. We're just taking something else.
Hang on. Are we the baddies?
Oh my God, yeah. Are we? Oh my God, are we Melkor turning elves into orcs?
Okay, let's not go that far. Hang on.
I mean, we're not torturing anybody.
We still like it. I think we do it once again tastefully. Okay, that's the name of the game here. This would be a cool 80s crime detective show procedural set in Dol Amroth, and it would be done tastefully.
It would be so tasteful, you guys. It would be so respectful, action packed.
Yeah, Prince.
I would think this would be.
I'm just gonna go. Would it be before? I think it would be before.
Or the War of the Ring. It would have to be. I think the Corsairs, I think, are pretty well taken care of.
What was the prince's name?
Was
it Prince Aduna? No, his father.
Oh, Imrahil's father? I don't know.
Arthedain. No, I don't know. Well,
I'm gonna Google it right now.
We'll come up with it, but he's definitely got a bit of an issue with the nose candy. If you know what I'm saying. So he's kind of been like
Adrahil the second.
He's been letting this
Adrahil.
That's what it was.
The second.
Adrahil's
father.
No idea how it's actually pronounced, but he's got a bit of a problem with the nose candy. So he's been sort of turning a blind eye to this problem. And then what about just like Prince? Just fun. It's like, and there's just like Prince what? He's like, no, it's
just Prince.
And it's Prince.
Yeah.
Like he's Prince. Prince has the part if he wants it.
If we can. Yeah. By then we'll be able to resurrect the dead, I'm sure. I feel like he's the perfect rip a guitar solo at some point in the show.
Yeah, this is 30 years from now. So.
Yeah, we'll have the technology by then for sure. He'll be
our first post-mortem pick. And then our actual pick will probably be somebody who was born like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
which is sort of horrifying to think
It
about.
really is.
But it reinforces that we have
We have
time
plenty of time.
to nail these details
Yeah,
down.
we got a lot of time to work out the grubby little details.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see some just. It would be beautiful to see Dol
Would.
Amroth. I'd love to just see Dol Amroth in any sort of adaptation. But there, I mean, it wouldn't be in an adaptation because it's not in anything.
Yeah, I'm imagining it would look kind of like similar to how I would imagine. Oh God, what's the westernmost city in Numenor? Totally blanking on the name. Starts with an A.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember either. Yeah, we're clearly we're clearly the experts here.
Let me just keep looking here.
Yeah, strangely, I don't think they mentioned it in Rings of Power. What the name of the city was, or they might have they might have shown it on a map briefly. So it's been a while since
Maybe you
my
might be
memory
right.
is
I'm not
refreshed.
sure.
Either way, yes, I agree. It does look
I would imagine,
very
right?
because
Just,
the
I mean, it was built by the
Numenorian
Numenorians,
cities.
and yeah, it was a
Yeah,
coastal city.
that's when I was thinking
Yeah.
because those were all built as coastal cities, and that was an amazing. I loved seeing that in Rings of
Yeah, for
Power.
anything else you want to say about that show, I think they absolutely nailed what Numenor should look like.
Yeah, and most of the set, and Moria and
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, I think Dol Amroth would look a lot like that,
Yeah, very
and
similar.
we'd
Mediterranean
also
kind of.
get to see the seedy underside of
Oh yeah.
of a Mediterranean like medieval era city.
Right, because just because Dol Amroth is filled with good guys doesn't mean there aren't some bad guys in it.
In
Otherwise, we have no show.
in
So
Tolkien, it kind of yeah. I mean, oh yes, no, you're right. Yeah, there are some bad guys in it and around
yeah,
it,
in and around.
and they're coming in and spreading drugs and the will of and worship of Melkor
Yeah,
with those drugs.
yeah,
Remember, kids, don't do drugs or you are just worshiping
yeah. That's
Melkor.
right. Cocaine use is the exact same as worshiping Melkor.
Yeah,
Worship of
they
Melkor
might
involves a
just
lot of teeth grinding and jacked up heart rates.
and if you do cocaine even once, then gods have the right to cast your entire home underneath the waves to be lost forever.
That's right. That was one of the Numenorians' main mistakes was doing cocaine.
Well, yeah, they didn't have a
Okay, so how about this?
vice division.
Okay. So, what about this idea for extended life? What if we just do rip a ton of lines of blow, right? That's where we start off, right? Okay, so
I mean, yeah, let's just go west.
yeah.
It just seems like something that was just definitely on
Yeah.
like a big coke
Yeah, there was a
binge.
big
It's just like,
cocaine
hey
meeting.
man, have we ever just tried? Why don't we just sail
Why have we
west?
not colonized Middle Earth yet? It's a no-brainer,
And
man.
it's like, hey, the gods, they gave us one rule. We can't go that way. And it's just like, but I mean, like, are they even real? And if they are, they should just make us immortal.
Yeah. What jerks.
Yeah, their plans seem to only make sense if you're
Yeah.
doing drugs.
Yeah, I mean, our Pharazôn was going to go to war with the Valar. You couldn't have that idea if you weren't on cocaine. You'd have to be thinking very highly of yourself and not really thinking things all the way through. It's a very excited idea. That's not a sit down and think about this first idea. That's all right, we're doing it.
Very spur of the
Yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
All right, I don't have a gavel, or I'm trying to think of what would. I don't think there's anything that I could hit on anything that would sound like good audio at all, but I demand a recast.
Okay.
I demand a
All right.
recast. So this is another segment I've come up with where we basically go through the mostly Lord of the Rings. I guess we could include The Hobbit too, but any sort of film adaptations, or I guess theoretical ones as well, and try to decide who we would cast for a role.
Yeah. I think it's a great segment idea, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And unfortunately, they pretty much cast everybody
Yeah,
perfectly.
at least in Lord of the Rings, I mean, they really did.
Yeah, I mean, for the way that they wrote the characters, at least some of the characters changed, but I think the actors played the changes pretty much perfectly.
Agreed.
And they just sort of looked. I mean, it's impossible to look at certainly the Fellowship, read about them without picturing.
Yeah,
now.
especially for people, I would say in our age group and younger, who a lot of, I mean, your first experience with Tolkien's works is not the movies, but it is most people.
That's the first I
Yeah.
can, when I first
Yeah,
got
where you
into
really
it, the
connected to
most
it.
I can
Yeah, it's what
remember.
if you become enough of a nerd to listen to a podcast like ours, a lot of
Yeah, you've certainly been with the movies for a while
unless you're older than us, in which case, you already have read the books and everything. But yeah, most millennials and Zoomers, their first interaction with this stuff is going to be the Lord of the Rings films. I think that's fair to say.
So I'm gonna come right out and say it. Ian McKellen sucks.
Whoa, hey! I know we're messing around here, but I will not have you say such things.
Yeah, no, that was way too far. He is absolutely a gift to men
it's
from the gods. Yeah, he is one of the coolest. Yes, the gods of casting. That is my favorite Valar. Actually, is
whichever the Valar of casting directors.
The Valar of casting director. Yeah, I'm trying to think of one single known casting director, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many renowned ones, but I don't know any.
I would love to pull a name there, but
we've used our brains for other useless information other than that. So. Yeah.
So. Okay, yeah, okay. Ian McKellen is fantastic, and he did a great job as Gandalf. But you know what? I kind of want to change up Gandalf's vibe.
Oh yeah, what were you thinking?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just...
oh, okay. You know who I think would make a really fun Gandalf? Maybe better as a Hobbit Gandalf than a Lord of the Rings Gandalf. But if you could do a British accent, Jeff Bridges, I feel like, has the facial hair, and the hair on top of his head, and the voice to do an amazing Gandalf.
I love how intense he would be.
I feel like he'd be a better, like, lighthearted Gandalf than me. I don't. He's
really Jeff. Yeah, I guess. Oh, you're thinking dude, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, but even
I'm thinking more recent.
Well, you could
like every cowboy.
I was gonna say Rooster Cogburn. Jeff Bridges would be a very grumpy Gandalf.
Yeah,
great.
So I mean, he's got range. He's got the grump.
Yeah, he can do anything.
He's got the grump. He's got the grit. He's got the groove.
Got the beard.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, yeah, I'm starting to really like that.
Or if they made it, if they made Lord of the Rings into a Western, actually, it would be very funny because like Sam Elliott would be a great Gandalf. Pippin, I'm gonna bash your head against this door until it opens. Only Gandalf can start forest fires. That's flaming pine.
Side note, a spin-off of the Lord of the Rings as a Western sounds like rad.
Yeah, that could be its own adaptation station segment right there, actually.
Yeah, now I'm thinking Clint Eastwood.
Oh man,
for Gandalf.
Man, Pippin would not try any shit if
no,
if Gandalf was
he would shoot
Clint
one
Eastwood.
Look. He would shoot one look at Pippin, and Pippin was I'm gonna go home.
It's like, I'm you know what? Back. Elrond's idea for me to send messages back to the Shire, and I think I'm gonna take him up on that one.
It's like, I love your fireworks, Gandalf. Love your work, but I mean, my God, I'm out of here.
He's just a mean son of a bitch, isn't he?
Just mean looking. I mean, it seems like he could be like, I don't know. Ian McKellen just brings that sort of
Yeah, the
softness
warmth.
to
Yeah, the
him.
warmth.
Yeah, the warmth. Yeah, that is
Quick to anger, quick to
it's what
laugh.
Gandalf really
Yeah.
is.
I
Yeah,
think Ian McKellen would be the
at
hardest
his
person
core.
to recast because he just did such an amazing.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
started with this.
All right.
I feel like it was this is hard mode,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, actually, if we were recasting Lord of the Rings for today, actually, I think Martin Freeman should play Frodo because he's the proper age. Because as awesome as Elijah Wood was, um, Frodo's 50 years old when they set off on this adventure. He's only 33.
Yeah,
He's
that's
33
true.
at the long expected party. And 17 years pass between Gandalf leaving the unexpected party and coming back again. So yeah, so Frodo's in his 50s. So
Yeah, that was never clear in the book. I don't or the
yeah, the
movie. I mean,
movie.
I don't know if
Yeah, I mean,
they.
Frodo's like seems even. I mean, Elijah Wood is younger than.
I could never tell if it was implied or if. Yeah, he seems younger than
Yeah, for
Sam.
sure,
He seems
and
younger
he is
than
younger than
probably
Sean Astin
Mary.
for sure.
Yeah, and it would make sense if he had the ring the whole time, and it was, but he wasn't carrying it or anything.
Yeah, he wasn't carrying it or using it much, and he would be, well preserved. But even so, I would say Elijah Wood did not look 33 when he inherits the ring, because I'm pretty sure he
No,
was like
yeah,
23 or something when they actually shot
yeah.
those
He
films.
was early 20s.
So yeah, maybe. But either
Mm.
way, well, Martin Freeman was such a great Bilbo, and as much as the Hobbit movies weren't fantastic, he was fantastic in that role.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
nailed it.
so
Yeah.
I think he would be a pretty decent shout for Frodo. Um,
I mean, he and Ian McKellen just sort of made The Hobbit. They made it. They were one of the best parts of The
agreed.
Hobbit.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I hate to do it, but we're gonna have to just replace him.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm loving Jeff Bridges for this. But is there anybody else that we should consider
I'm
for the
sure
role
there's
that we
plenty
should
of people we.
have them do a table reading?
Yeah, let's see.
What about Larry David?
Oh, we thought Gandalf was sassy and wisecracking before. Oh my God, Larry David is.
I having Larry David do a Curb Your Enthusiasm style
Oh
take
man,
on Gandalf through the whole. Everything else is the same,
God, that'd be so funny.
but he just that would actually be
Oh
so
man, yeah,
good.
that would be really good. That'd be very very funny. Yeah, a comedy adaptation of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say no. It would be you could even if he did a dramatic reading of the whole thing, you could never take it
oh no, you
seriously.
couldn't. No way, you couldn't. He's too funny. Everything he says is
Yeah,
hilarious, even when he's not trying to be.
just mannerisms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. All right. Let's see. Who else could we cast in this thing? I mean, I feel like Aragorn is a good person for us to think about, considering there were several people that were considered, and one person was cast and didn't end up becoming that character. So originally, I think they were.
Yeah.
I think in the first place they were considering Nicolas Cage for Aragorn, which is insane to me.
That is
I'm like,
weird.
can you imagine him chewing the
It would have
scenery of Middle Earth like that, like he
probably
usually does?
it would have
Oh,
been.
terrible.
I don't think it would have been the same.
I'm pretty
But
sure it wouldn't win
we're
as many
only
Oscars as it would have if Nick Cage had played Aragorn.
I don't want to knock Nick Cage as an actor because I
Yeah,
like him, but that's not the
it
energy
would have
that
been
they needed.
all wrong.
I don't think.
And the first person actually cast as Aragorn was Stuart Townsend. The only thing I've seen him in, I think, is Queen of the Damned. I think is the only thing I can think of that I've seen him in. And he got fired within like 2 weeks of starting.
Like the musician?
No, different guy, actor Stuart Townsend. No, there's two different guys. There's one who's a guitar player. I think it's a different guy.
Oh, well.
Either way,
Okay.
maybe I'm getting the name
I'll have
wrong,
to
but the
look it
guy
up
from
later.
Queen of the Damned was the one who was originally cast as Aragorn. And within 2 weeks, he was replaced with Viggo Mortensen because he was apparently just a dick. He was very difficult to work with, and everybody hated him.
Say what you will about Viggo Mortensen, you shouldn't, but that guy is not a dick. He seems like the sweetest dude.
Yeah, I mean, he gets the call. I mean, he's basically got to learn. He doesn't know about Lord of the Rings when he gets that call. And his son, I believe, talks him into. He's like, "Dad, you have to do this. You absolutely have to do this." So he like reads Lord of the Rings on the flight to New Zealand. And yeah,
Wow.
I think 2 weeks within getting the first call, they starts filming, which is crazy. I can't imagine trying to do that. Trying to get in the head of such such an important literary character so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he did it.
He really did. He did an amazing job.
He just kind of was dirty for weeks on
So
end.
who would we recast as Aragorn, since Viggo's now old enough to play Gandalf himself now?
This bit is this segment. We're doing one character.
Oh, okay.
Time. We just got to lock down. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
Listen.
Explain the rules ahead of
time.
time.
Value on this thing. I'm okay. I thought I did, but
that's all right. So stick with Gandalf.
If we recasted every member of the Fellowship, it would take like 45
I mean, this would end up being a 4-hour podcast episode, and no one wants to listen to that.
You know what? And we gotta wrap up soon. Yeah. So I'm gonna put my foot down and say we're recasting Gandalf as a golden retriever in the Puppy Bowl version of Fellowship of the Ring. That actually sounds adorable. Cute as hell.
I would be so in. Like Homeward Bound, except it's Lord of the Rings. It's all dogs.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're not going Homeward Bound until it's there and back.
Yeah, not quite Homeward Bound. Sort of. Got a few stops to make.
All right, so do you want to take us home with a fun fact?
Yeah, all right, yeah. Let's finish out this episode. All right, so my fun fact about J.R.R. Tolkien is that he was actually quite a huge fan of Parliament Funkadelic. Mothership Connection was his favorite song. Unfunky UFO, I think, was his favorite track off of that first Parliament album. Amazing.
Just when I thought the guy couldn't get any
loves
cooler.
funk. The man loved funk.
Just sitting, smoking his pipe, reading the paper and just listening to Parliament. I mean, and not English Parliament. Parliament.
No, Parliament Funkadelic. George Clinton.
He probably did that too.
yeah, probably. I'm sure.
All right. Well, now the people know.
That's a true fact about J.R.R. Tolkien. Loved Parliament.
Don't we all? All right. Well, with that, I guess we say
join us next time, and Namarie, friends.